Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Goldberg, as you know. This is Digging for Gold, episode 17. And this time around, there's someone with a very amazing story who is doing some incredible things right now. And it's my friend, Darrell Alston. And you're going to love what he has to say. And you're going to love the things he's doing now. I can guarantee that. Darrell, how are you?
I'm here. Nice to see you. Nice to see you again.
See you too. So I know that you have Bungee Brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to tell us what the website is before anything.
BungeeUSA.com.
BUNGEE USA.com.
Yep.
Remember that. We'll repeat it later, but remember that. Your story is incredible.
Thank you.
And I know you've been in magazines and newspapers and interviewed all over the place. Tell us how you got to Bungee Brand USA, Bungee USA, okay? And what was the impetus? What was the thing that had that spark, right? When you were drawing pictures of sneakers and so forth. There was a story before that.
Right.
Tell us that story.
Okay, well, I started off as a rap artist. And I remember when I used to go on stage, I used to always want to try to have like the freshest sneakers, the freshest clothes, things that no one ever saw before. And I was always into fashion from the age of being like 10 to 12, something like that. And I got my first record deal when I was about 12, 13. So
Wow.
I started off with the rap thing, and plus I played football. So I had plenty of opportunities to go to D1 schools to play football once I graduated, but I decided I wanted to be a rap artist instead. I figured that's where the money was. I was really, really wrong. So I ended up going to pursue the music career, and it didn't work. And while I was trying to pursue the record career, I knew ways to be able to get money to maintain the lifestyle of my rap career.
Right.
You know, it's like, everyone wants to have the jewelry, the clothes, the girls, and all that stuff, and it costs money. So I was doing everything possible to try to find ways to be able to make money. And, in the immediate circle that I was in, and even in my neighborhood, like I grew up with people that were drug addicts in my household. So, or not in my personal household, but like in families' households. So it wasn't really hard for me to be able to go start selling marijuana or go start selling, cocaine or crack or anything like that, because I knew people that would buy it.
Right.
So my first time trying to do it, I realized, I just spent about $150 and I ended up making like $600 back in like 2 hours. Okay. So I'm like, whoa, that was like the beginning of my introduction to selling drugs. And I was the kind of person where I'm very like tight with money. So if I made $600, I would go back down with the 600 and try to make that 12. If I made the 12, I'm going right back down with the 12 and I'm going to try to double that. And then like when I started to get into more money, I started to make more money. So like if I spent, let's say, $1,500 on something, I was coming out of there with like $5,000. So that's how everything started to get going.
You had an inbred entrepreneurial mindset.
Right.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Plus, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you go on stage with some big-time rappers, well-known rappers?
Yeah.
Opened for some?
Well, I know a lot of the kids probably won't even know who half of these rappers are, but like Nelly, LL Cool J, Wu-Tang, people like that, I opened up for all these guys.
Wow.
So I had a good hip-hop run, but it's just that every time that my album was about to be released, I would get in trouble, or I would get caught selling drugs, or someone else would get caught and tie me into it. So every single time that I finished the album and it was about to release one, I got locked up right before it. So it was almost like it wasn't meant for me to be a rap artist. It's crazy how it was.
And you were locked up more than once.
Definitely. 3 jail sentences, but I was in and out because of parole violations, or if I got into an altercation or something like that, you'd be in there for about a week or 2, or sometimes 30 days or something like that. And I did the 3 sentences, so it was different.
12 years.
It was a little over, but I say 12. Yeah.
Okay. 12 point something.
Right.
Right, I got it. And by the way, folks, I'm just getting over a little bit of a cold, so if my voice sounds a little raspy, please excuse me. So you're in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And I happen to know this because we're friends. And
Right.
You did something in prison that sort of was the germination of your fashion business, of your clothing business, of your sneaker business. What was that?
Well, I'm going to be totally transparent. The whole time that I was incarcerated, I always thought of different ways that I can sell drugs better. And it wasn't until, I want to say, I was about 4 years into my 7-year jail sentence and my grandfather passed away. And I remember after he passed away, I had a conversation with my mom, and she was just like, what are you going to do with your life? This is the first time she asked me this in 4 years, because I was incarcerated for 4. And I was like, I really don't know. I mean, she was like, you're a little bit too old to be trying to rap now. And she was like, you already like messed up your whole life, because like they're doing background checks now. And as soon as she said that, like, I'm just like, what am I going to do now? Like, I was totally confused, because I really thought that I was going to go home and do the same thing that I was doing before. And then she started crying. And she was like, you really need to figure out what you're going to do, because you ruined your life. And then when we hung up the phone, you know, I never prayed. I was never really a religious person or anything like that. I remember going back to the cell and I prayed. And I'm going to say, after I got done praying, something told me to sign up for barber school. I signed up for barber school, and then I don't know what it was, but something told me to pick up a pencil and start sketching a sneaker. I sketched a sneaker, and it looked like I took a sneaker and laid it on a piece of paper. That's how good it was. I'd never sketched anything before in my life, so that was my first time doing it. So for the next 3 years and some change, I was sketching every day. I was in barber school as well. I got my barber's license. I did really well on the
in
test.
prison.
Yep, got my license while I was in prison. Yeah. So when I wasn't working in the barbershop, I was just sketching. I was sketching sneakers, apparel, belts, hats, jewelry, watches, like everything that I could possibly do just to be creative. It wasn't even about me trying to start a brand. It was just about me just trying to do something that was creative to occupy my mind, because I was incarcerated.
Right.
So I want to say maybe about a year and some change into it, I started to show other inmates like what I was doing, because they'd always be like, what are you doing? How come you're always sketching something? So I started showing it to them, and they were like, yo, you need to think about like putting your own brand out. So I remember calling my mom, and I'm like, I'm really thinking about, doing my own brand. And then right after that, she started sending me all these entrepreneurial books, how to write a business plan, how to get your business going. So she was like really encouraging me to do it. And that's when I wrote my first business plan when I was incarcerated.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That was the first time you were incarcerated?
No, that was the third time.
The third time. So
yeah.
Now I get it. So you went through that the first time. You got re-incarcerated the second time.
Yep.
And then you did it a third time.
Let me just break it down to you a little bit differently. Okay. I got arrested for the first time. That was a drug deal that went bad. So there was guns involved and stuff like that.
That's not good.
I ended up going to jail for 2 years,
Wow.
right? So that was my first time. I was out of prison for about maybe 2 or 3 years before I went back for 3. I got out after doing 3 years, and 7 months later, I went right back in for 7 years.
Selling.
So out of 10 years, out of 10 years, I was only on the street for 7 months. Out of 10 years.
Well.
So the third time when I was doing the 7-year bid, that's when I was like, things have to change. It's too much.
Yeah. The third time
can't
was
do
a
this
charm.
anymore, right.
That's what then it was like. You had this light bulb moment.
Right.
And I have to tell you, your stuff is outrageous.
Thank you.
It is beautiful.
Thank you.
You may not know this, folks, but before we started filming and doing the audio, for those of you listening to Spotify and all the other platforms we're on, Darrell brought some of his merchandise, which you'll see as the video goes up, and it's amazing.
Thank you.
But not only is it amazing, I got to figure out how to get some. Okay, and it's not hard to figure out. I'm going to call you and I'm going to get some.
Right.
Okay, so because I already have it in my mind what I like to do. That's a whole other thing. So tell us now about how your product is made, how you design it, who you're working to work for. Okay, who you're designing for is a better way of saying it, and where you're going with your product.
Well, do you want me to start off with the Bungee Brand stuff that I was doing?
Yes.
Or do you want me to start off with what I'm doing now?
No, I want you to, first of all,
totally
I want you to go through the what's the term I'm looking for? The evolution.
Okay.
Okay. So you start with the sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. Okay.
Okay, so what happened was I got out of prison after doing 7 years. I started working at a barbershop. Matter of fact, I was working at 2 different barbershops. And no one would get in my chair because I was a new barber.
Right.
And I remember I ended up getting enough money to be able to get my first sneaker sample. I put my sneaker in the window of the barbershop just so I could just sit in the chair and just look at it to figure out what I can do to make it better. And there's a guy named Ernest Judd that came walking past, and he was like, hey, do you have that in a size such and such? And I was like, no. And he just kept asking for all these different sizes. He's like, well, how come you don't have the sizes? And I was like, because I don't have the shoes. I just have one shoe. Like, that's it. And then he ended up asking me if I had a business plan. I said yes. And then I met with him like the next day at Starbucks. And he was my first official, investor.
Wow.
So then after that, we ended up doing that. And then I want to say...
The barbershop is where? In Philly?
In Paoli. It's right
in
across the street from the
outside
Paoli
of
train
Philly.
station.
Okay, in the main line. Yeah.
So after that ended up happening, because of me not doing enough research, I spent a lot of money. And I didn't know what I was doing. And the reason why, it didn't have anything to do with the products. It had everything to do with the fact that I didn't understand shipping. I didn't understand cargo ships. I didn't understand taxes. I didn't understand...
Tariffs.
Tariffs wasn't really going on back then.
Right.
But I didn't understand any of that stuff. I didn't know anything about import-export brokers. There was so many different things.
Distribution.
I didn't. Well, it was easy for me to distribute it because I already had a huge following at that point.
Okay, great.
Because what happened was when I was doing the music business before that, I had a ton of friends, a lot of followers. So when I came home from prison, my Facebook just filled up with followers. So it was immediate because everyone already knew who I was. So I already knew who I was going to sell my products to. I only had maybe like 400 or 500 pair of sneakers. I knew I was going to sell those right away. So I didn't know anything about any of that. And what happened was customs ended up intercepting the packages as well. And so I had to pay customs. I had to pay customs tax. I had to pay import-export taxes. I had to pay for a cargo ship. I had to pay for the guy to drive the cargo ship over here. I had to pay trucking services. I had to do all these different things. And I didn't know because when I got the sneaker sample, it was just a matter of me sending the sketch to the factory, them making it, and them sending it straight to my house. So I'm thinking I'm going to get 400 or 500 pair of sneakers sent to my house.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. So, I ran through a lot of money. When I received my sneakers, the sneakers did not look like the sample. It was almost like they did like a swap on me. It was like instead of it being real leather, now they're using polyurethane leather. They're not even using real leather. The sneakers sold that used to be this thick is now like paper thin. So it's like the shoe is a totally different shoe now, and it's like trash. So I ended up spending, I want to say he gave me $50,000. I want to say I spent almost 40 of that just getting the sneakers and then getting everything back. And I remember it was like, I want to say the Eagles' first Super Bowl. We were in the barbershop and someone was like, man, if you had some Eagles merch, you would kill them. You'd be up right now. So then after he said that, a light bulb went off and I created some Eagle sneakers.
I remember that.
Yeah, so I created the Eagle sneakers and then I'm like, okay, how am I going to sell these? Fortunately for me, 2 days before the Eagles' first opening game after that Super Bowl, I received the shoes. So I got a bright idea. I got a U-Haul truck. I put all the sneakers in the U-Haul truck, and I drove straight to the Fox 29's pep rally. And I came out with the sneakers, and I sold every pair of sneakers that day that I had.
Wow.
And that's how I got my beginning.
Wow, that is cool.
Yep.
Fox 29 pep rally.
And it was all spur of the moment because I just happened to turn the news on that day. Fox 29 just came up on my TV first out of all the channels, and I saw one of the guys saying, yeah, we're having a pep rally. If you guys want to come down and support the Eagles, we're down on Market Street right now. And I was like, oh, I'm going. Like, I got the U-Haul truck and I went straight down to Market Street.
Smart, man.
And that day, I walked around with a wagon, and I had a pair of sneakers in my hand. And I was walking around, and I didn't have to even say anything. All I had to do was just have the sneaker in my hand, and people were coming to me. And then when Fox 29 saw what I had, Bob Kelly, one of the newscasters, he asked me if he can, say something about it on the news. He put a pair on. He was walking around with them. They did a whole segment just on my shoe. And people were catching the bus down there. They were driving down there to try to get these sneakers. And I want to tell you, I sold over 200 pair that day, just in one day.
Wow, that's amazing. Amazing.
And then after I did that, that's when I realized that, okay, now I can go do what I really want to do, because I didn't want to do sports shoes. I didn't want to do sports apparel. I didn't want to do any of that. I wanted to do my own brand and come out with my own stuff. So I just used that money to be able to get my other shoes done. So that's how I got started.
Yeah. So you still have the sneakers?
Which ones? The ones I started
the
off
line.
with? I have, as a matter of fact, I do still have maybe about 100 pair of the very first sneakers that I got that had the thin sole, the polyurethane leather. I still have those because I couldn't sell them.
Right.
Now they're probably worth something now because of my whole story. But you know, these are my very first shoes. Like, that's something crazy. Just imagine if Nike said, "This is the very first sneaker that we made," and we never released them.
You could probably sell it at an auction, a big time auction, and get a lot of money for it.
Right. So that's how I got my start. And like I said, a lot of people were asking me, like, well, why didn't you just continue on with the Eagle sneakers and this and that? But that's not what I wanted to do. I had my own thing that I wanted to do that didn't have anything to do with any sports team.
But you designed other sneakers.
Yeah, I did. I did.
You still have them?
Yeah. Yeah,
so
if you go to bungeebrand.com, you can still buy those, yes.
Bungeebrand.com. Mm-hmm. Don't you have an Instagram one too?
Yeah, Instagram is Bungee Brand USA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So bungeebrand.com, Bungee USA.
Yeah, bungeeusa.com is our sports merch.
Right.
Bungeebrand.com is our sneakers.
Okay.
And you can actually find the sneakers on bungeeusa.com as well. Okay. And then Bungee Brand USA is the Instagram page.
Cool. We'll repeat that again.
Right.
But so you had the sneakers. You're making the sneakers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, if I remember correctly, you started to make apparel, right? Am I right?
Yeah. We're skipping over a lot though. So
no. So don't let me skip.
Yeah.
You tell me the story.
Okay. So what happens is when you develop sneakers, sometimes it could take a year to develop a shoe. It just depends on all the dynamics of the shoe. So while I was developing the shoe, I decided I'm going to come out with some apparel to be able to, keep things going until the shoes come back. So that's where the apparel came from.
Okay.
I actually started selling apparel before my first pair of sneakers came back.
Oh.
So the apparel was doing well. I was going to flea markets. I was going to barbershops. I was doing everything possible to market and promote myself, and we were filming everything. That's how we started to get the following, because they started to see how we were doing it. And at the time, I was literally going to Foreman Mills, and I was buying like $3 T-shirts, and I would go home and heat press, my name on the front. That's how we got started. And then after we started doing that, the sneakers finally came back, and then COVID hit. Shut everything down. Like before, as a matter of fact, COVID came like right before the sneakers arrived. So we had Bob and everyone that was all interested in investing, or they did invest at the time. I just got my office, just furnished everything, and then all of a sudden, everything gets shut down.
I remember that.
Right. So now I'm like, okay, I don't have my shoes back. I don't have any apparel. So the whole first year of COVID, I sat in that office and never went home. I stayed in there. I watched YouTube tutorials on how to sew. I learned how to do my sneaker designs better. I learned how to do everything better within that whole first year. And I remember right before the year was up, I remember Bob was like, hey, before we shut this whole thing down, can we at least come down just to see what it looked like? And I was like, sure, you can come down, because I knew that the lease was going to be running out. Right. And they did give me a small amount of money, and I used that money to be able to pay the rent, and then I also got like embroidery machines and stuff like that, just so I can learn how to do what I needed to do. And him and a couple other people came down, and they were blown away with the stuff that I had, and they were like, we have to continue on with this. And I was like, good. So we continued on. We ended up hiring a publicist, so that way we can actually figure out a way to be able to get the whole sneaker brand out. So the publicist came to the office, and I'll never forget it. He came to my office and he says, can you just tell me about you and your brand and like how this all got started? So I started telling him about the prison story. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh my God, I have a bunch of ideas. And I'm like, ideas like what? Well, I'm gonna, let everyone know that, you came from prison. And I was like, no, I don't want to talk about prison. Like, that's not it. And finally I was convinced to talk about prison. And before I knew it, I was at my first sneaker launch on, I think it was a shoe store called Blue Soul Shoes. Mm-hmm. I think it's on Walnut Street in Philly. And I remember, since COVID was here, there wasn't a lot of people allowed to be in the store. Everyone had to wear a mask. I think it was only like 2 or 3 people allowed in the store at a time. So Channel 3 came, and they were like, we can't even go in the store. We can interview you out front. So I was like, okay, let's just do the interview. And he said, listen, I'm telling you now, you're only going to have about 10 seconds. And that's all I'm really going to be able to give you. So I said, my name is Darrell Alston. This is my sneaker brand called Bungee Brand. And I just did this and I created this while I was in prison. That was pretty much the end of the interview. That was it. And I want to say it aired that night. And then the news anchors, I think her name was Jessica Cartaglia at the time. And I forget who her partner was at the time. But anyway, they ended up calling me and they were like, hey, like, would you like to do Jessica's show? And I was like, sure. So I ended up doing Jessica's show. It was like a full 30-minute show. And once it aired, it was a domino effect. Channel 6, 10, 29, 17, NBC Today's show, PBS, Fox Business. Like it just took on a life of its own. Like every time I turned around, it was another interview. What was another one? One of my favorites. Inside Edition.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So it was all kinds of different things. And the next thing you know, Fox 29 is like, hey, can you develop a shoe for Nick Cannon? I don't really do custom shoes, but Nick Cannon would really like it. So we ended up working it out where if I did it, I would be able to give it to Nick Cannon on the show, to give it to him. So Nick Cannon came in, I gave him his shoe. He heard my story, loved it, followed me to the side after a commercial break, and asked me for my phone number. And before I even made it back to my office, his TV show was calling me to get on his show.
Wow.
So then I did Nick Cannon's show. And then after I did Nick Cannon's show, I started doing all these national things. And before you know it, I'm 60,000 followers in on Instagram, just off of me telling my story. No one even saw the merchandise yet.
It's amazing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just so quick, like how everything just happened so quickly. But what the downfall was for me was that people were so into me that they didn't know what I was even doing.
I get it, because a similar thing happened to me with my optical company.
Right.
It was like quintupled overnight. So the problem became, if I'm correct in this, and I may not be, is that they concentrated on your prison story and not on what you're doing afterwards.
Right.
And not on your products.
Right.
And not on your entrepreneurial venture.
Yep.
So it got stuck sort of in people's minds that you're this former incarcerated human being that's now in business.
Right.
Not really talking about the business.
Yep.
Here, on the other hand, we're talking about your business, because I think your business is incredible.
I appreciate it.
Really. I will have something of yours soon that I got to wear. But just after looking at all the stuff, I look at it on Instagram and everything else, but it's amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing.
So yeah.
So how did it progress? Keep going.
So after that ended up happening, we ended up getting so much publicity that it helped, but it hurt at the same time. And at that time, I started spending more time doing interviews and doing podcasts and all that kind of stuff, speaking engagements. I was doing more of that than work. So it started to get to the point where I was getting more popular than my brand. And, for me, I thought, hey, it's good because now I have the influence to be able to show people this is what it is that I do. And sooner or later, that did work, where I ended up doing my first launch at Foot Locker. The Foot Locker CEO, he actually saw my Inside Edition TV show, and they ended up inviting me to Foot Locker, and I launched there. But Foot Locker wasn't really where I wanted to be. It was a nice launch. We sold a lot of sneakers, but I have a brand that's not the same as like a LeBron shoe or a Jordan shoe. My stuff is more like a luxury, high-end Neiman Marcus type thing. And eventually I ended up releasing my stuff at Neiman Marcus. So we ended up breaking some sales records at Neiman Marcus. I was like one of the first independent sneaker owners to be in that store, and it worked out great. So that's how everything went for like the first couple years of business. And then after we started doing that, I just started to see that like after it really got serious, where COVID was like here and gone, people just didn't have the funds to be able to spend, $300-400 on a pair of sneakers anymore. So at that point, I was like, you know what? Let me try to figure out another way to be able to do this. And I'm like, do I do cheaper shoes? I didn't really want to dumb down what I did because I'm already up here now. So it's like, I don't want to like start using cheaper materials and stuff like that. And one of the things that I prided myself on was the fact that a lot of people are so used to these other mid-range brands like Nike, Reebok, Adidas, and stuff like that. And I never understood this at the time either. Like, why are these people charging $500 for a pair of sneakers? Oh, they're just charging this money for the name and blah, 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 blah. And that's not true, because these medium brand sneakers like the Nikes and all that kind of stuff, they're not using the best quality materials. You can tell the difference when you start wearing high-end shoes compared to that. You can definitely tell a difference, and the high-end shoes last longer. So that's where I was at with it. Like, my stuff was so much more high-end, and it wasn't on that level. So it was like people just aren't spending that kind of money. Yeah. So it was like, what do I do with these luxury sneakers now? I'm not going to sell them for cheaper than what I paid for them. So we were just going back and forth on that. And one of the things that I found, just being an entrepreneur that I am, I could get a lower quantity or smaller quantity, and it's cheaper if I just do apparel than it would be if I do shoes. As you already know, you had shoes before, and you have to get, there's actually a minimum order requirement. And for the companies that I was dealing with, when you start dealing with the high-end stuff, you have to buy like 1,000 to 1,500 pieces at a time. But I can get high-end quality apparel for cheaper, and the minimum order requirement is only like 50 pieces.
Right.
So I started to concentrate more on the apparel side instead of the sneakers, and that's pretty much how I got my start.
Yeah, it's interesting because shoes, as we discussed before we were filming, shoes you have to, it depends if it's men's or women's, so people understand this. You have to buy a run. They manufacture it, like if it's women's, it may start at a 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5. Then you get, it's like a bell curve. Then at 7, you have to buy a couple more pair. At 8, a couple more pair. 9, a couple more, and in between. And then you get to maybe 11, and then that's it, right?
Well, I think in my situation, I think that that's more for like how you did, because you might have been a shoe sales guy.
Right, we had a company.
For me, being as though I'm manufacturing and producing the shoes, I'm the one that would have gave you that bell curve. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
totally.
So like for me, when I deal with the manufacturers, they don't charge me by, you have to buy 18 pairs of this or 15 pairs of that. I can buy whatever amount that I want to buy per size. Where our problems came in at, and what was costly, is we had to buy something called molds. And the molds was each shoe size. So like, it doesn't, if I don't have that many customers that's trying to, that wear a size 5, 5.5, 6, I'm not even going to get those. I'm only going to get the molds that are the most popular sizes. Yeah. So now that I have these shoes, and I may have to buy let's say 1,000, I would have to buy like, 250 size 10s, 500 pair size 11, and I would have to do it that way. So then when I go to people like you that have your own stores and that you're purchasing stuff, then I can say, all right, if you want to purchase these sneakers, you have to buy at least 25 of this, 80 of that. So that's how it works.
So you're the manufacturer, but the retailer may want the bell curve. Right.
And most manufacturers do.
Yes. Or you may say, listen, if you're the distributor, there's somebody in the middle sometimes. The distributor says, you can only buy a run, and a run is from 5 to 11 or whatever it is, and for men it's maybe 6.5 to 12 or 15 or whatever. Yeah, so it's expensive.
It is. It's definitely expensive. Shoes are like the most expensive thing ever, and shoes is what I love to do. Like, I love doing shoes more than anything else. And then what happened was, again, things just started to get slower and slower. The momentum started to get slower. People were tired of hearing the story. I got tired of talking about the story. And it just got to the point where it was like, what am I going to do? So in the process of me thinking about that, I went to go get my dad a birthday gift, because his birthday is in November. And I went to go get him a gift, and the Eagles merch that I usually get him, I already got it for him. Like, it was the same sweatshirt, same jacket, same t-shirts, same football helmets, same everything. Like, it's the same thing year after year after year. And I already have all this stuff. So I was like, you know what, let me try to create my dad something, Eagles-wise for him.
Cool.
And when I did that, I took a picture of it, put it online, and it just blew up. And that was the beginning of Bungee USA.
Incredible. When you took out the samples here, it blew up in this room. Everybody wanted one, so it's like, and you'll see them once again. I'm going to say it. You'll see the pictures because they'll be clipped into the video. When I was looking at the product. You explained the different materials in the product. Tell us about the products, how they're made, what materials you're using. I mean, it's beautiful stuff.
One of the things that I can say that I have to laugh about now is that every time I create something, I think that I'm losing my mind by doing it. And I think people are going to hate this. And the things that I do, people seem to love it. And it's like the wildest things that I do. So like last year I did it was a jersey / bathrobe / hoodie that had Saquon's number on it, number 26. And I wore it out to the tailgate just to see what people would think. Like I literally had the belt wrapped around my waist and everything. It was like a 3/4 bathrobe, but it was like a hoodie, but it was a jersey too. It was all mixed into one. And
cool.
I walked through the tailgate and I promise you, I sold over 100 of them just walking. I didn't even ask anyone. I didn't tell anyone they were for sale. I was just walking, and people were like, "What is that? Can I touch it?" Oh, and it was all 100% cashmere, so it's nice and soft, and it just didn't look like anything else that was out there. So when we did that, I pretty much sold out right there. Like I would go to the website.
Did you have them in stock?
Yeah.
You had them in stock?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And sold out pretty much that same weekend. And then after that, I went back and I did something else. And it's like me being the artist that I am, I get bored quickly. So it's like, even though it sold out, I didn't want to go back to do it again. It was like, I'm moving on to this now. And then it's like, I'm moving on to this now. So then we ended up doing a poncho. The poncho did really well. We did like face masks, like the mask that did really well. And it just seemed like everything I touched, it was just on fire last year. Like it was crazy. So then this year we decided that we were going to do something new. And then not only that we were going to do new items, we were also going to expand to other cities. So that's pretty much how the Bungee USA thing got started.
Wow. And
I'm super excited about it because we're talking to sports agents, we're talking to managers, we're doing all these different things. And it's like, one of the things that I told my chief of staff, just literally like on my way here, I was telling her, I said, one of the things that I love the most about what we're doing right now and all these different people that we're talking to, we are sending out emails like on a cold email, sending our lookbook, and people are contacting us right back. Like, we want to be a part of this. Like, what football player do you want? What baseball player do you want? Like, it doesn't, and I'm talking about NFL, MLB. I'm not talking about like, Little League. I'm talking about major people, and they're hitting us back and they're like, yo, what do you want us to do to be able to get you in contact with, whatever player you want? Here's our player list. And one of the things that I was explaining to my chief of staff is the beautiful thing about this the most is that no one cares about my jail story. People don't even know about the jail story. All they know is they're getting a lookbook. They love what they see. They love the designs. They love the artistic value. And they're contacting me back and they want to do business. They don't even know about the story.
Right. It's like you walking with the Saquon outfit that you had, like the bathrobe that was really a hoodie. And,
right.
And they say, I love that. They don't say, were you in prison?
Right.
Right. They don't care.
Yeah.
They want to get that.
And that's the thing I love. Like, as soon as I started to feel that entrepreneurial side, I didn't even want to talk about anything anymore. I just wanted to sell. I want to be able to create and sell. I don't want to talk about that. Like, and like I said, I don't have a problem with talking about it. Right. It's just a matter of it felt good to know that people love me for what I designed, not because of my past.
Right.
And that was the best thing.
And I've said this before on Digging for Gold. Being an entrepreneur is being in a constant state of disease. Mm-hmm. It's a disease. You're not at ease.
Right.
You're always thinking of other stuff.
That's a fact.
So it's a dis-ease. And that's what you experience. I experience the same thing.
Right.
The stuff is amazing.
And it's crazy that you say that because I remember there were certain times of my career, where it was major things happening. And like I said, my chief of staff, a couple people that were working with us, they were like, yo, like, did you even take a second to even think about what you just did? And I'm like, no, I'm off to the next thing. Like, I'm not thinking about that. Like, okay, we can film that, put it up online or whatever, but I'm over here now. I'm thinking about this. And it's like, you know, even like when we were at Neiman Marcus and we were selling, like, I think when we first got there, I want to say that Neiman Marcus was saying that if we could sell like $10,000 worth of merchandise, we'll be able to sell in their store. And I remember thinking to myself, like, there's no way I'm going to be able to sell $10,000 worth of merchandise. And within the first hour and a half, we were already over that, well over that. And then it was like, you know, Melissa, my chief of staff, comes up to me and she was like, yo, we're at like 20,000. And we were only about 2 hours in. And we were doing a four hour show.
I remember that.
And I'm like, we're at 20,000 already? And she was like, yes. And I'm like, that's all I needed to hear because I wanted to be able to get over to 10,000.
Right.
And then, you know, eventually ended up getting up to like 26, 27,000, something like that. That we ended up getting, and it was like one of the most amazing days for me because it's nothing like creating something and you seeing the people loving what you created. It's not about me. Right. It's just about the fact that this pair of sneakers or this shirt or this jacket means so much to you that you want to take your hard-earned money to buy this jacket or this pair of sneakers. Like, there's nothing better than that.
I get it. And now the celebrities are contacting you. Mm-hmm. And I would think, I don't know if this
I didn't even tell you the big thing that happened.
What is it? I got to hear it.
Yeah, when you said the celebrities are contacting me, I actually did jackets for Will Smith's tour. And
I was just going to say, wait until outside of sports, celebrities.
Yeah, I did that already. Will Smith wore my jackets for the last 2 months.
Excuse me.
This guy.
Hello.
Yeah. So
repeat that again.
For the last 2 months, Will Smith has been wearing my jackets on this tour. You know, wow. it's been crazy just to see Will Smith wearing my stuff on his tour. Like it's been crazy. And that particular situation came to me because I'm friends with Charlie Mack, which is Will Smith's old bodyguard. And every time I posted a jacket, he would repost it. And then Will Smith's like, she's way more than just a stylist, but I always call her a stylist, but she's like his chief of staff as well. Right. She reached out. She was like, hey, listen, I need to get, you know, some varsity jackets. I need to get some short sleeve varsity jackets. So she gave me the play. She told me what it was that they were looking for, and I just created it. And then the very first time I saw Will Smith with my jacket on, I almost fell out of the chair. You know what I mean? And just to see that he loved it and he wore it. Like, I made maybe 7 different pieces for him, and he wore every single one of them, alternating them every other night.
Wow.
So I have plenty of images of him wearing them, and it was like
incredible.
One of the best things I've ever did, for sure.
And I have a feeling a lot of other celebrities are going to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
You know, because I know that other sports figures are getting in touch with you.
Yeah.
I know that.
Definitely.
Big ones. That's so cool. It's so cool.
All right.
It just makes me want to get something from you.
That's what I'm
said that about 10.
Yeah,
I will do that. You know that. I'm telling you that because this is now recorded. I want to.
If he doesn't get it, I'm definitely coming back on the show and tell you he didn't buy anything.
Yeah, I have my Digging for Gold stuff on here by Darrell. So that would be cool. Yeah, I'm going to do that. That'd be cool. Very cool. So what's the future?
Well, the future for me right now is I'm trying to get to the point of just trying to venture out and just do other cities. I love what we're doing. I want to do more collaborations. And I just want to try to just keep building it because, you know, my inspirations, they're all different for different things I wanted to do. Right. So, like, with the sneaker brand, I was really, really influenced by N1. And then I finally ended up getting with one of the owners of N1, Seth Berger, and he started teaching me things about the sneaker business. And then now my motivation is like Fanatics, Mitchell and Ness, and stuff like that. So I kind of want to do what they're doing, but I want to be the Neiman Marcus of that. Right now, those guys are Nike, those guys are Foot Locker, those guys are that level. I want to be the Neiman Marcus of football jerseys and baseball jerseys and stuff like that, and we're already there. It's just a matter of people finding out what we're doing.
Exactly.
So once they find out what we're doing, we're already there.
And we're going to have more people finding out what you're doing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So once they find out, okay, you, I will assume, having been in your position in a different field, you have the team together.
Mm-hmm.
to handle more product,
Right.
to get the production up, because you always have to be prepared
For sure.
for that tsunami that may come.
Right.
Right, and it's possible. I mean, you've experienced it many times, selling out, at the Eagles tailgate or at sneakers at the celebration at Channel 29 and things like that. So you have to be ready for the tsunami, especially after publicity.
Right.
Right. Do you have someone that contacts the agents now, or are they just contacting you?
No, we have someone that's actually contacting the agents. I also have help with emails, social media, pretty much everything at this point. And then I didn't tell you, but we have a big launch at Neiman Marcus on November 1st.
Which one?
In Virginia.
In Virginia?
Yeah, in Virginia. We're doing Regina Jackson, which is Jaden Daniels' mom. Jaden Daniels, the quarterback for the Washington Commanders.
Oh, right.
So hopefully he's in the place too.
Hopefully.
But we're doing a launch with her line, and that's the Jaden Daniels line, on November 1st.
Wow,
So
that's
yes,
pretty cool.
We're doing pretty good. But like I said, we do have a team of people, and we're all working 24 hours a day basically. If we get 2 hours of sleep, we're good.
It doesn't stop.
It doesn't.
And the crazy thing is, and I'm sure this happens to you and most entrepreneurs, is you'll be sleeping and then you'll wake up in the middle of the night and an idea comes to you and you write it down.
You have to.
Or in my case, I get up, making sure I don't wake up Colleen, and I will tiptoe into my office, which is right across, from my bedroom, and write down what I have to do in the morning so I don't forget it.
Yep. That's what I do.
A
lot of times I can dream something, a vision, and then I wake up and I have to go sketch it out before I go back to sleep. Because if I don't do that, when I wake up the next morning, I'm going to say, I had an idea, but I don't remember what it was. And that's pretty much how I do it. And the thing that sucks about it is all of my ideas happen in my sleep, the majority of them. Now I can sit there and I can say, all right, I have to come up with something. I have to come up with something. I have to come up with something now. If I sit there at my table, at my desk, and I'm trying to sketch something, it never comes. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It happens when I'm driving my car. It happens if I look over and I see a building and I see the silhouette of the building and it reminds me of something and I have to pull over and sketch it on the envelope in my car.
Right, I get you.
Yeah, these are the different types of things that happen. Or I can be watching a TV show, or I can be watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and I see a color of a hoodie and I'm like, that's it. So I use those colors and then I take something else and I just blend it all together, and that's how my brain works.
It's amazing.
Yes, wow.
It is amazing. You are an exceptional entrepreneur in that way. A lot of entrepreneurs get an idea and they start a business, and sometimes it works, doesn't, you got to be ready for failure as an entrepreneur. That's how you learn. What did I do wrong? What did I do to correct it? And so forth. But the fact that you are constantly creating, that's in essence what you're saying, bodes well for the future, because there's always something new.
Right.
Always something new.
Yep. I know one of the things that I could say, and I forgot to tell you this, one of the best moments for me was to actually go to Penn State and speak to the students there. And one of the things that I loved about that was the fact that everything that I watched them do, because I got a chance to sit in the back of the room and actually watch what the lesson planning was. I actually experienced it. And it was wild to be able to put my personal story in with what they were learning. And I think that's the reason why a lot of the students were paying attention, because it's otherwise if you're just hearing a professor say something and it's just talk.
Theory.
But if you can actually, if you can actually talk to someone that actually did it, and I didn't have the college education, I was never taught this in class. I actually learned this while I was doing it.
Sure.
I didn't know anything about any of this stuff until I actually got it thrown in my face. So for me to be able to actually sit in class and hear what the professors had to say, I'm like, this is real. What they're saying is real. And I'm telling you right now, I had to learn this on the fly. And you guys are learning it right now. So I got the opportunity to see students put business plans together and come up with business strategies and present the business to us and stuff like that. So it was an incredible day. I mean, as a matter of fact, I was there for a couple days.
You were the entrepreneur in residence.
Right. I loved
University Park.
I loved it. It was perfect, man. I really enjoyed my time there, and I learned a lot just from being there.
It's great.
And as a matter of fact, one of the kids that won the contest they were having, Justin.
Yeah.
I'm still in contact with him. I just had lunch with him a couple months ago.
Wow.
And his business is booming right now. He won the contest
Right.
when he was doing the pitch, and he's killing it. He's killing it.
It's beautiful.
Yep.
That's the thing. I mean, if they can learn, there is theory behind everything.
Right.
Okay? There is theory. So the foundation, you experience theory. What would happen if I actually drew this sneaker and people liked it and they wanted to buy it? That's theoretical.
Right.
Okay? The practical is, okay, I want to make this sneaker.
Yeah.
Then I got to sell it.
Yeah.
How am I going to sell it? That's the practicality. So everything starts with the theory, but it's the practicality that moves it forward. And you're moving it forward. And not only that, you're willing to make changes as it progresses. So you see the market, and you go, okay, the market here is shrinking because of something in the air, okay, COVID or whatever
Right.
it is. All right, so how do I adapt to that? And then something else may happen. How do I adapt to that?
Right.
That's what successful entrepreneurs do. They're constantly adapting. They're constantly learning from success and failure, and then they take it to another level.
But one of the things that I learned in business, especially in my business, is that no matter how bad the economy is, people are going to pay for their favorite teams.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Sports,
Right.
right, and drinks,
That's it.
okay? They're recession-proof,
For sure.
really.
For sure.
If you own a tavern or a restaurant, maybe a restaurant with a bar in it, and I'm not advocating people drinking alcohol, but I'm telling you what happens, and that's people will drink. They'll sit, they'll meet, it's tough out there, blah, blah. Let's meet for a drink. And it might just be coffee, I don't know. But and they get joy out of their sports teams.
Yep.
I mean, I work a lot, okay? But I always try to watch, I'm a big baseball fan, I always try to watch the Phillies as long as I can, as often as I can. When they're on the West Coast, it's 10 o'clock here. Let me catch the first inning. I got to go to sleep. But it's the way it is. Real sports fans are like that.
Right.
I got to watch, okay, the Eagles are on. What time? Bum, bum, bum. Pardon me. It's extremely important for people because it creates unity
Yep.
and self-worth. I'm an Eagles fan.
One of the things that I could say is that I remember I went to an Eagles game, and I don't really get the opportunity to be able to sit still long enough to be able to enjoy anything like that because, like you said, I'm an entrepreneur and I keep moving. The whole time my eyes are open, I'm doing something business-wise. But I got a chance to go to the game, and I remember one of the best feelings in the world was it didn't matter what race, nationality, male, female. When the Eagles scored a touchdown, we were all shaking hands, hugging, all that stuff, and I didn't even know who these people were.
Right,
Like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Exactly.
Sports brings so much unity when there's so much separation in the world right now that I love to see it. Like, even when I go to the tailgate, people don't look at me as a black man walking through a tailgate. They look at me as a football fan that's wearing their favorite team's colors, and they want to know where I got it. Period.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's it.
And it's like, you can be as politically as far left as you want to be, or as far right, but when Bryce Harper or Kyle Schwarber hits a home run,
Yep.
you're high-fiving each other.
That's a fact.
It's
a
just
fact.
like you're loving it,
That's a
right?
fact.
Just like with the Eagles or the Sixers or the Flyers or whatever city you're in, okay? And if it's football in Europe, as we call it soccer, whatever you love sports-wise, you don't care about the other person's ethnicity, like you said, their religion, their politics, or whatever. It just brings everybody together.
Yeah.
And then when you're wearing that stuff that you make, and they go, "Whoa, that's hot."
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do it, because I feel like when I see people looking at my stuff, the way that they light up when they see it, that's what makes me feel like all that hard work I did to create that was worth it.
It's beautiful.
You know, it was worth it.
It's beautiful.
So
now I want you to do one thing for the audience and me, and that is spell out again all the websites where people can get your product, how they can get your product. They order it online, you ship it, right?
Yep.
Okay. So if you would repeat the website and the Instagram and all that other stuff.
Okay, our website for the sports is bungeeusa.com. That's BUNGEE USA.com.
And that's just sports stuff?
Yep, that's the sports stuff. And we do have like some sneaker stuff on there as well. Okay. And then if you just want to go see all the regular apparel and all the regular sneakers that I did, they're all high-end luxury stuff. You go to bungeebrand.com, which is BUNGEEBRAND.com. And then if you want to follow what we're doing on Instagram, because I'm all over the place. I do all kind of fun-looking reels. I'm with all the people that's tailgating. I'm letting, like, most of the time you'll see people trying to touch my shirt, and we're talking to people. If you want to follow that, go on Instagram. It's Bungee Brand USA, which is BUNGEEBRAND USA. That's how you get the Instagram. Yep. And then TikTok is Bungee USA. And then we also have like a personal Facebook page. It's my personal page. So I put all the behind the scenes stuff where it could be family stuff. It could be, but it's all still business related. So I use that page for like more personal stuff. And one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to try to make it where I'm not putting the same stuff out on every page.
Right.
So if someone's following me on Instagram, I don't want them to feel like I don't have to follow him on Facebook because he's going to put the same stuff. It's all different stuff on Facebook. So I may have like behind the scenes stuff at Fox 29 or behind the scenes stuff talking to a celebrity or something like that. I put all that on my Facebook page, which is Bungee Raiment. Bungee Raiment. It's BUNGEERAIMENT.
Raiment. Okay.
Yeah. So it's Bungee Raiment. So if you want to follow us on the behind the scenes stuff on Facebook, that's
go to
that.
Bungee Raiment.
Yes.
Cool. Plus, you work with, if I remember correctly, boxers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bernard Hopkins, he was one of my mentors.
Yep.
And, you know, I really still have a lot of love for him. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
And he introduced me to a lot of boxers as well.
Boxing. My family, some of my family were boxers.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. One of my first cousins, once removed, was featherweight and junior lightweight champion of the world.
Wow. What's his name?
Benny Bass.
Okay.
Benny Bass, and they called him the Little Fish because he was only 5'1".
That's cool.
5'2". Yeah, and he boxed in front of 104,000 people at Municipal Stadium before they tore it down to build, you know, all the stuff in the sports complex. Yeah, there's boxers, and my other cousin was a boxer. My father taught me about boxing.
Okay.
It's all good stuff. So there's the whole boxing world. And UFC.
That's tough.
You never know.
That's tough, yeah.
You never know. And so all this, it comes together, you know, the way I look at it for you. Like, I'm excited talking to you now because you're a great entrepreneur, and I'm at heart an entrepreneur, is that one UFC fighter, one boxer will run into one basketball player who's their friend or a football player. And where'd you get that? Bungee Brand, right?
Yep.
And that's how the athletes come on board.
Yep.
Oh, I gotta have that. How do I get it? So now you all know how to get the stuff. Now you know how to get Bungee Brand, how to get outstanding apparel and sneakers.
Right.
From Darrell Alston. Darrell, thank you so much, man.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
This has been great.
And thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
And before I even go, I said that I spoke at Penn State. You were the connect for that.
I did.
So I have to definitely, you know.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that.
Yes, I did. It was great. And we did a friend of mine is a professor at one of the Penn State campuses at Berks, and she asked me about you, or I suggested you. And I will just tell you this, that she called me back and said that was the most watched episode in her series in the history of the episodes and all of it. And it was the only time that no one left before the end.
That's what I'm talking about.
See? And just like you all stayed and watched this one. Darrell, thanks, man.
Thank you.
I greatly
Thank you for having me.
appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you. See you all soon on Digging for Gold. Thanks again. And by the way, you can find all our social media if you just go to dangoldberg.com, and on the front page at the bottom are all the connections to our social media. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time on Digging for Gold.